Thank you, everybody. Welcome to Boston. It's awesome to be here. To Randy, I was backstage with Senator Warren and Liz Schuler, and we were watching Randy go through the process of becoming, how to go through the resolutions. And we all said, God, she's such a teacher, talking to teachers. So Randy, you're awesome. Thank you very much. I want to thank Randy for your friendship, for your leadership, for your partnership, and quite honestly, for all that you do for working people and for educators in this country, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank the national offices, the vice presidents, the state leaders, the local leaders of this great union, all of you here today. I know that Randy, I heard her say earlier, how many new delegates? I'm assuming there's a lot. Thank you for being involved in the democratic process. Thank you for being involved in your union process, because you don't make your union stronger if you sit on the sidelines. You make your union stronger by sitting right in the middle and being here, so thank you very much. To Beth Contos, thank you for your leadership here in Massachusetts. Give a shout out over here. This is the union of leaders at every single level. By the way, it's just how amazing is it to have the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, coming here to address your conference today. And it's amazing to have a lifelong educator in the White House. It does make a difference. And I was in a meeting the other day with the First Lady talking about the cancer moonshot. And again, the compassion, the love that she has, and the dedication she has, and for her students as well, and educators in America. So thank you very much. It's amazing to see her. It's a true honor for me to be here today to welcome thousands of incredible educators from all across the country to, as Randy said, my hometown. But I would be remiss if I didn't give a big shout out to my friend, my dear friend, and all of my dear friends, President Jessica Tang, and all my friends at the BTU. Where are you, BTU? There you are. Congratulations on your contracts. We have been through a lot together, and I've seen firsthand how the BTU and all of the AFT members fight for the students in their schools and the success of your students. Not just in good negotiating and through contracts, but everything that happens. We work together in this city of Boston, and many of you work together in your cities across America on issues that are affecting our young people. So when the global pandemic hit, here in Boston, we kept working. We saw educators and school staff step up in amazing ways for our students. That's what members of this union continue to do all across our country in the face of tremendous challenge. Whether you teach a class, or staff a school, or drive a bus, or feed students, whether you work in early childhood education, K-12, a community college, an HBCU, or any university, whether you work in healthcare or in state and local government, I want to acknowledge, truly acknowledge, what you have been through these last 2.5 years. You have not only, should clap for yourself and your members and your friends and your colleagues all across this country. You have not only helped students learn in person again, you have helped bring together people in our community, and that's certainly not easy. You're helping them manage grief and trauma during and from the pandemic. You're helping them process the terror of gun violence in schools in too many communities. And you're doing all of this as you deal with your own grief and your own trauma. You're doing this in the face of, in many places, short staffing and staffing levels. You're doing this in the face of vicious attacks on your curriculum, on your profession, even those who love you and who know you. We're hearing people out there pushing us. The attacks on teachers in the United States of America are wrong, and we must fight them back whenever they appear. I just want to tell a quick story. As Randy said, I was mayor of Boston for 7 years. And when I was mayor of Boston, I visited every school in the city of Boston over those 7 years, and many of those schools more than one time. And before I left as mayor, when I got appointed by the President of the United States of America, you're trying to figure out how do you wind down the last few days of the administration. It was difficult because it was really emotional for me, because everywhere I went, I cried, because I love being the mayor of Boston. I love my team. But I went to schools I went to schools for the last 30 days. I went to school every single day. And it was kind of in the pandemic, so we didn't have full schools. We kind of had some kids in schools, and I saw teachers there, and I went in and thanked them. And I realized all of the things in my life that I've had in my life, it just came flashing back. The very last school I went to as mayor of the city of Boston was the Everett. And that's the very school that when I started my education, I walked into as a kindergartner. And it wasn't by design, it was by accident. Because I was supposed to go to school the next day and we had to cancel it. And I often think back about my first day walking into the school, the Everett, and the beginning of a foundation that I got in my life that brought me to the role of becoming Secretary of Labor. It's the teachers that impacted my life. It's the people that came into my life. As mayor of the city of Boston, I saw that firsthand. Many of the teachers right here in this row, I've known them personally. I've seen them in the classroom. I know who they represent. I know all of the folks that they do. Teachers, you continue to guide our young people and care for them with compassion in the United States. You help them move, and more than any other time, you help them move forward. You give everything you have and more. You are a role model in the impacts that you have had on your students. I want you to think about this for a minute. Every teacher in America, just by impacting one student, I want to say thank you for that. And I want to say something else. I want to say to you, this is why unions are important to our democracy. Unions support teachers, and teachers support unions, and unions move our country forward. That's why your union is so important to our democracy right now. You stand together in solidarity, united. You fight for each other, for your schools and for your students and for America. You fight for education. You fight for truth. You fight for equity and freedom and justice, which is the heart of our democracy. And this administration stands with you in that fight. President Biden has directed over $120 million to our nation's schools through the American Rescue Plan. His infrastructure law is directing billions of dollars more to electrify our nation's school buses, to replace lead pipes in 400,000 schools and child care centers across the United States of America, to bring affordable high-speed internet to homes and communities all across America. We know that when the pandemic hit, we had to send our kids home in this city of Boston with hotspots because their families didn't have internet. This bill will connect families and young people to internet all across this country. I want to thank Randy and the AFT members for mobilizing and supporting these historic investments. You know the difference that they will make. In the Department of Labor, which I am in charge of, we also know the educators' working conditions are the students' learning conditions. We are in focus on empowering all workers, all teachers, morning, noon, and night. That means advocating for the child care and paid leave that every working family needs and deserves in the United States of America. It means fair wages. It means good benefits. It means a secure retirement. It means freedom from the workplace violence, discrimination, and racism. It means job training programs and partners with professionals, union educators, to create pathways into the middle class. It means equity for workers of color, women, workers with disabilities, LGBTQ plus workers. In everything that we do, we can't leave anyone behind. And it means supporting every worker's right to organize and join a union. If they want to join a union, they should be able to join a union without interference from a company, from a government, from anyone. I am standing here today for a lot of reasons. I told you about the Everett, one reason. But I'm standing here today really because a union opened the doors to my immigrant family, to my parents. As President Biden says, he always says this, the middle class built America. And then he says, and unions built the middle class. And we can't forget that. We are now, the president and all of us together collectively are now rebuilding that middle class. And that opportunity must be for everyone, no matter your race or gender or where you live or what zip code you're in or what industry you work in or you want to work in. That's why this administration strongly supports Public Service Freedom to Negotiate Act for public employees, which means unions would be able to be created all across our country in right-to-work states. Right to work states. It's kind of an ironic statement, right to work, because it does everything but right to work. It discourages you to work, but well, whatever, we'll win that fight in the long run. And we also support the PRO Act for the private sector employees. In this country, and quite honestly, in some of our states, in some of our cities, we need to strengthen our labor laws and protect the rights to organize. But we're not waiting for someone else to act. We are backing workers right now. A year ago, President Biden established the first ever government-wide task force on work organizing. Vice President Harris is the chair and I'm the vice chair. We worked across the government to take down barriers to organizing and collective bargaining, both in the public and private sectors. And as a wave of organizing sweeps this nation, we are using this bully pulpit to speak out in support of the right to organize. We are making it clear that it's a worker's choice, and the worker's choice alone to decide whether or not to form a union. At the Department of Labor, we're looking to see what we can do. We're getting ready to launch a Know Your Rights campaign. We're setting up the first ever online worker organizing resource center. It's a one-stop shop on how to form a union that any worker can access. Together, we have the opportunity to write the next chapter in the history of the labor movement. I am grateful to Randy and the entire AFT staff for leading the way. I want to congratulate the members of the AAUP for voting to join the AFT. You're probably here, and build a strong national higher educational faculty union. I want to congratulate the adjunct faculty at the Pasadena Art Center of Design for joining the California Federation of Teachers. I want to congratulate the staff at the Community Health Centers of Burlington for joining the AFT Vermont. And I could go on because this union knows how to organize. Your leadership knows how to organize. And we need to continue to stand with you to continue to organize all across our country. This administration in Washington will always support you because you have the most pro-labor president of our history, and you have a labor secretary who carries a union book in his pocket. The progress that we have made proves that leadership matters. Elections matter. Voting and speaking out matters. And you know as well as anyone, there is so much more work to be done. You must keep fighting for the right to organize. You must keep fighting for living wages, for health care, for child care, for paid family leave, for the rights of women, people of color, the LGBTQ plus community, and all Americans. So this is not a time to be discouraged or back down. This is a time for solidarity. This is a time for us to stand up and to fight and to move forward. I have fought side by side with your members of this union for a long time, and I know that when we stand together, we win. And together, when we work together, we win. And when we fight together, we win. And I just want to end with this. I was supposed to give this big rah-rah thing at the end, and I kind of screwed up the whole speech right now, but I'm going off the cuff. I've been in Washington for the last 15 months. President Biden was able to pass the American Rescue Plan and get vaccines out there and do a lot of things, and 9 million people have gone back to work. And when you're talking to people out in the community, they're going to talk about inflation. They're going to talk about inflation. They're going to talk about everything that's wrong with what's going on in our country. The president inherited a situation that we didn't have a plan to get us through a pandemic. This administration came in and the first 100 days passed landmark legislation. We've got 9 million people back to work. Unemployment is low. We have an infrastructure law, the largest in the history of our country, where we're going to be doing investments all across America. We're making sure written into those laws that there's equity, that women and people of color have a chance to get into the building trades in place they haven't been able to do in the past. We're working, the first ladies here today, to talk to you teachers, to talk about how important it is for you to continue to move forward and fight. This isn't a time, brothers and sisters, to lay down and say, let's pray this goes away. This is a time for all of us to stand up. The older members in this room, we stand on your shoulders. The retirees, we stand on your shoulders. We have an obligation as union members to stand on their shoulders, continue to fight, continue to move this union forward, continue to move this country forward, because the unions are the only chance for the middle class, and we need to make sure we pull everyone up with us. So I want to say God bless you, God bless the labor movement, and God bless the United States of America. BTU!